Yo, hello, I am Cade, and welcome to Double Feature Movie Club. This is our 13th episode, lucky number 13, and I am joined this week by our last week's guest as well. That's a fun thing. We have Harrison and Diane. How you guys doing?
Quite well.
Hola.
First time.
Great. Yeah. This should be fun. I forgot to say up top, we are talking about the movies Suspiria from 2018 and also from 2018, Hotel Artemis. So 2 movies from the same year. That's fun.
Really a first for me being on your podcast.
So you enjoyed it so much last week, Harrison, you had to come back.
Yeah, right? A mixture of pity and enjoyment. Really helped.
Well, you thought you would pull the, you last week you had 2 not so great movies, so you would spin the wheel again. That's what you wanted to do, right?
I've never had a friend guilt trip me into joining their podcast as well as you have, Cade.
Perfect. Great. Diane, how's your weekend been? Anything fun, spectacular?
Yeah, I had to watch one of these movies, which was probably the least fun thing I had to do all weekend. But,
well, yeah, I'd watch both of the movies, but
well, one of the movies I enjoyed, so that was fun. Yeah, that was the fun part of it. Mm-hmm. Saturday Night Live. I had to catch it last night because it was the last, show for
a lot of them.
McKenna and and
A.D. Bryant,
and Kevin Mooney and. Kim Kardashian's boyfriend who just plays himself on it. So
I'll tell you. I want to quickly say about it's sad to see. I love Kyle Mooney. I think that he was so underutilized in SNL, and I'm interested to see where he goes. And I hope that he does actually have a career afterwards, because boy, did they did not handle him right, and they never knew how to use him well. I never thought so. I hope that he does well. And it's sad, like he had such great with Beck Bennett, which was, they were a comedy kind of duo before that, and then he left and he wasn't there this whole year, and so seeing him like without him was like, with his comedy duo, it was kind of odd. But I hope he does some more. He might go back to doing some more internet stuff. But I'll tell you what was really good. If you want a good movie recommendation, he made a movie called Brigsby Bear a few years back, and it's amazing. It's an amazing movie, and it's on my top 100 somewhere. I don't know where, but it's a really, really, really fun, sentimental, heartfelt movie. Mark Hamill is in it. It's one of Mark Hamill's best performances.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's kind of like the villain of the story in like a really fun way. Yeah. So
his last skit on Saturday Night Live was really good.
Which one?
So the gray pigtails.
Oh, that was, yeah. I'll tell you the one.
Hilarious.
The one I really liked from last night was I love the 9 to 5 sort of fun of that one. That's really kind of very slapstick.
Yeah. That was a good one. It was a good show. It was a good show last night. I felt kind of bad for A.D. and Cade and Kevin. None of them got to do their closing goodbye message like Pete did, but what else is Pete going to do,
Yeah,
pretend to rap?
Pete had the, he's only was in that one video, and then he had like a little desk piece, but, it's interesting. I guess Kate McKinnon had the opening, the cold open,
with her alien character, which is one of my favorites.
Yes, I'm glad that they did that. It's going to be interesting. Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see which of these people do catch on, and which of these people, because the sad thing about SNL, there's really talented people that go through and then they just don't get a huge career out of it. There's tons of examples of that, and it's sad that are really, really have great comedic timing and just really funny, but it just doesn't work out for them. And then there's others that become huge stars and never quite leave. So I don't know.
Well, this last couple of years, the cast has been just really on point. Really good. I hate it when Beck left, but yeah, they've really been on point. And the guy they added this year who does a Trump impression is so good.
I think
Yeah,
he's
I
a
don't
good
remember his name either,
impressionist, but I've never really found him too great when he's like playing characters outside of impressions. Like, and that's, I mean, some people are that. Some people are the impressionists of.
Well, he hasn't actually had a skit that was,
Wait,
a
new
his.
Trump impersonator? What happened to Alec Baldwin?
Yeah. So, they're out now, and and new season will start. Yes, this will be I guess what they call a transition period. Whenever now you have all these people out, and it's interesting. The people that are staying, like, is also kind of odd. Like, I mean, I find it somewhat odd that like Cecily's still on there. Cecily's one of the funniest people on there, but she's been on there a long time now. Mm-hmm. Same with some like an Alex Moffat who's been on there for a long time and never really kind of broke through ever, but he's still, I guess, gonna stay around. But you never know; some things might change throughout the months, and that might have been the last one for some other people too. But Cecily's someone who I would hope could transition to be like a leading actress in things, but it doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it just yet. She
said some small parts in other things that she did a lot of commercials and things like that. It could be that she just likes it.
Yeah, it could be.
She just really I think that's what's the guy's name? The Washington. Kenan, yeah.
Kenan Thompson, yeah.
Kenan Thompson, yeah. I think he just likes it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree.
Because these guys not only get to perform the skits, but they get to write a lot too. So that's it. That has to be a lot of fun.
Well, it's got to be like, you're not going to have that diverse of characters that you can play. If you go out and make a movie, you're that for several months, that one character. Mm-hmm. Or you go out and do a TV show, you do that character for years. Whereas this one, you play, 3 different characters every night, every week. I mean, and that's a unique experience that doesn't exist anywhere.
You're not going to find that anywhere else, except for maybe Second City in Chicago. But then you don't have this audience. So.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. Well, Harrison, what did you do this weekend?
I moved about 2 cubic yards of dirt into my backyard to do some more gardening stuff.
Harrison loves gardening.
I've lots to see. If you want, get ready to start a bunch of plants. Daisies that are perennials. Next time you come by, I'll take some pictures for you. See when they start blooming. You guys can decide if you want some.
If any of you ever tour Diane's gnome garden, that thing's awesome.
Yeah. What would you rate her gnome garden? Would you?
My fairy garden.
Your fairy garden. Oh yeah, sorry, it was a fairy garden. Yes.
That's right.
I didn't. All I saw were gnomes.
Oh, well, that's the side you were sitting on. Yes, I do have some gnomes in my yard, too. I'm a big believer in yard art. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, it's because Harrison only saw the gnomes because he only believes in gnomes, not fairies. He doesn't believe in fairies. It's a weird distinction that he has.
Yeah. You didn't see the unicorns either, did you?
It's no weirder than, like, the religion of Suspiria.
Oh, my God. I don't think it gets weirder than that.
I guess we can go ahead and jump on in if you guys want to talk about Suspiria. We could do that. These are any through lines you see between these two movies that we're supposed to watch? Any through lines? Typically, we try to make some sort of connection between them.
They both had blood.
They both had blood. They both had blood. Yeah.
Both were a little sadistic in parts.
Yeah. Yeah. Not as clear, but the cut is of a connection as sometimes we make. But yeah, some interesting stuff. Okay, we're gonna jump on in. Sorry, what?
Nothing.
Okay. Okay, great. Let's jump on in. We'll play our little feature presentation music, and then Diane will give us the plot of Suspiria. Our feature presentation.
Hi. Thanks, Cade. Suspiria. The 2018 version is not a remake of the 1977 Italian film by the same title, but rather, as the writer and director puts it, and it pays homage to the original movie, which is the best thing I can say about that. The plot itself is set in 1977 West Berlin. Keep in mind the Berlin Wall was still up in 1977. An American dancer goes to Germany to become part of a dance company who happen to be witches. How's that?
Spoiler alert.
Well, it actually says that. It says, there's a coven of witches. They turn out to be a coven of witches. The movie itself addresses themes of motherhood, of women as deadly, and let's see, what else was the other title thing? Oh, yes. We
Power.
should keep our brains empty and our uteruses available. Yes. And that men are afraid of our power. Okay, I got it. That's it.
Yeah, it's really a movie about, I feel like, about power and that sort of idea. So
it's actually, this is the part that kind of like kills me about this movie, is it's really a set of 3 movies about the back at, what was it, the 11th century, where they came up with not Mother Earth and Mother Nature and Mother whatever. This is like the evil side of that, right?
There's
Mother
3 mothers.
So there's really 3 movies, and this is the movie about the Mother of Sighs.
So the original Suspiria, 1977 Italian horror film, what they call it, Giallo, I think is this heightened sort of. If you watch it, it's a very stylized movie, very, very, very stylized. This kind of goes in a different direction with this. It kind of, I don't know. I think art house is sort of the idea that it has like a much more slower burn and
really slow.
really different setting. Like that's also kind of, I mean, in the sense of like the exterior setting of the the choice to make it 1977 Berlin is interesting. That's the one thing that I was kind of, I'm like, okay, that I don't. That was the one part that the biggest part, but I was like, I don't know if it was necessary. It was certainly the only place that really seems to tie into anything of real importance is the doctor. That's the only thing that seems to have any sort of real character.
Well, the original movie was also set in Germany.
Yeah, well,
and I think it ties in to the Nazi occupation. And then the communist or the Russian occupation of Germany, and that whole, the people who were protesting against it at the same time, they were living, with not only the guilt, I guess, from World War II and the Third Reich, but also the results of it, what had happened to people from that. And you kind of got to where there was a thread there where this coven of witches came into power as a result of the Third Reich. So I took it.
Well, the doctor makes a through line between the Third Reich and sort of how that power is done. Yeah, I don't know. It was set dressing that I don't know, but okay.
The doctor's entire character, I mean, was really. It would have been hard to. I don't know. His part of the plot could not have taken place in anywhere other than West Berlin and East Berlin.
Yeah, really. I agree. Yeah.
He, especially considering just how much, I don't know how you would put it, like true self and, the self you project out into the world, like, how much of that was going on in the movie really, I think, plays well with the West.
Like the secrecy kind of is what you're saying? Like
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with that. Makes sense.
And the one part of his life being in West Berlin, and the other part being a very different kind of feel and look. So
Yeah. Okay, so we'll quickly say, Diane, just so we're all clear where we land on this, what did you think about the movie?
I wish I had that time back.
So just to be clear, it's a 2 hour movie. It's over 2 hours. It's a lengthy.
It goes a long time. I know that. I and this is probably just me and just my perspective, but I hate movies that villainize women overall. In every way, shape, and form, there were no good women in this movie at all. Even the American Girl's mother, right? It turns every woman in this into a creature. Let me put it that way. And it's almost like Judge Alito probably saw this movie, and that's how he's formed his opinion of women. I'm pretty sure. But it had every trope you could have in it, right? Bloodthirsty women. They make fun of the police officers' appendages. It's everything you could possibly say in a negative light about women at all. Don't let them be too smart. Don't let them give too much freedom. Look what they'll do. They'll turn it into something horrible. Yeah. Now, flip side of that, almost 99% of the movies that are out there do the same thing to men. So, it's this is a chance for women to be the bad guys all the way around. All of them.
I don't know. I don't know if I would say that they had a almost a perspective too as to why that they. I don't know. There were certainly evil there and everything, and it's a movie about evil.
It is certainly a movie about evil, and there's no justification for the evil in any way, shape, or form, except for that this is based upon this legend of the three mothers that, from, hundreds of years ago, which I think if you saw it as a movie set of three separate movies that were about these three different, feminine characters, it would be completely different. But just taking this one out and saying, no, let's do this, then it's just gratuitous violence and, yuck.
I feel like Susie and Sarah's characters were neither of them were portrayed in a particularly evil light. I mean, maybe a comparison by degrees, but I would say both of them, and also a number of the other, just the dancers in the troupe, seem to be just like real characters, just people. Not.
But they weren't really given a role other than to be, background dancers. That's about the only role that they had in the whole movie. So
Sarah was trying to find her friend, and she was trying to, and she was kind of almost a. I thought they gave it a lot of the characters' characterization, and they shift almost protagonists at a few different points. And so at first you're following one, and then you get another one's sort of story without it being like, and here's their story, and here's their. It just kind of at some point you're like, oh, I haven't seen Dakota Johnson in a long time, and it's focusing on, I guess that's Sarah's sort of character, the other girl, for a bit.
Yeah, but Dakota's the only one that has a background. No one else does, other than, the coven as a whole.
Okay, but so the Tilda Swinton, the mother Marcos or whatever, or Blanc, sorry, Blanc, Mon and Blanc. She
played both.
Yeah, she played both. Well,
and
she also
psychiatrist.
Yes.
To me, that's the best part of the movie is watching Twilight play these three different, or real two, within that one scene where she plays the third person. But that was, to me, the best part of the movie was watching, because she's the only actress really, I think, in the world who could pull off some of that stuff.
She did fantastic.
I mean, I could see why they cast her in Doctor Strange in that particular role, even though I think a lot of people were upset about it. I thought she was great, because she's the only. Think about how many other actors do you know that can literally pull off playing a female and male, and play opposite each other. be the
Yeah.
protagonist in the end. Yeah, both.
It's interesting. Like, and
amazing.
it's also interesting to see that in a movie that's not, Meet the Clumps or whatever, where you have,
Yeah, yeah.
typically that's reserved for comedy films. It's kind of interesting to see a dramatic movie. Mrs. Doubtfire. Yeah, well, I mean, like where you play multiple characters. I can't even think of another example that's not comedic, in which a actor plays multiple people in a movie with like heavy prosthesis and like, and it's not even. I don't know. It's just there. I don't know. It's just that's who they're like. Who we're gonna cast? Well, Mars Attacks. See, that's another comedy thing, but that Jack Nicholson plays multiple characters, and then it's just never really even kind of brought up as a reason. It's just the case of what happens in that, and it's interesting whenever it happens.
To me, that was the most interesting part of this movie. That was watching her pull this off.
Because boy, was she great as that doctor.
God, she was. You don't realize. I mean, unless you know ahead of time, and then I would think. I did not look ahead of time purposely. Anytime I see her name, I try not to look too much into the movie because I want to be like entertained by her. But yeah, she was so impressive as that.
Yeah, and I don't know. I thought Madame Blanc was also a very, very, very interesting character. It's more a traditional Tilda Swinton character, I feel like, but I thought that was a very interesting character. That like you kind of got, I don't know, a little bit in like you. I don't like you. It wasn't fully like you didn't understand her completely. But the little bits that you got was very fascinating, and it was very like she seemed to be much more. You could tell like so that this movie focuses quite heavily on like the inner politics of this coven of witches, and sort of their perspectives of things. And it seems to be her. This art is very important to her, and that was sort of the interesting thing where you kind of get that with Marcos later of like she almost finds that sort of part stupid. I felt like isn't that kind of the point of that? Is like she kind of like looks down on the idea of this sort of performative. I don't that was interesting, and that's very particularly why she's doing all this. I don't know. I found it to be a quite interesting character.
Yeah. Did you see who did the score for this movie?
Who? Sorry.
And I think like the soundtrack was great, except for I think maybe towards Act 4, I think it was. There's a point in the movie where I was watching it, and there's like some time after some of the telepathic messaging was going on, and it got almost farcical, I would say, just for like a couple of minutes, and then the rest of the movie for me was wonderful. Like I thought it executed on the idea of a horror epic as it set out to be, and was just an incredibly like I don't know, just it was a gratifying movie to watch all the way through. I will definitely say that. Just the plot was pretty dang good for how I don't know, off the wall kind of fantasy it was. And I like just the visceral fear and kind of ghastliness of just how quickly it gets into it in the movie just was it was great. It was good.
Were you surprised whenever Dakota's character announces that she was actually the mother all along? And
a little bit.
The old gal that they were doing all this ritual for was, the fake.
Yeah. With Mother Marcos, I mean, since so little was revealed about her for most of the movie, she was really a cipher to me. And then like the ritual part of the movie, just I don't know. She was awesome. I didn't really know what to expect. I knew some kind of twist or odd thing would happen going into that ritual. Like Susie was too calm and too confident, and just like, all right, cool, yep, this is gonna happen.
Yeah,
So
I must say, like in comparison to like last week with Mandy, I did end up where this is a much more deliberate film, just kind of like how that was kind of had a, and then of course has these crescendos at times. Same with Mandy, but it seemed like this, like I could, it's a difference. I felt this way. I understood, like where I said I could never get into the groove of what Mandy was trying to, like its pattern. This one completely. You can I felt myself like feeling it, I don't know, whereas Mandy I was constantly jerked in and out and bored and into it and then not, and then this one I felt I understood what it was doing, and any time that it ever got out of it was probably my fault. I felt like, because I do think that this movie had a rhythm to it that Mandy and these other films that are, there's a difference. This is deliberate, and there were times that, I mean, I guess it could have been trimmed up in a few different things. I think particularly the end, after the whole ritual happens, like you're kind of like, okay, that's your high point, and it just kind of meanders for a bit at the end of it, which I kind of wish it would have had a stronger kind of ending there. I get just have the scene where she's talking to the doctor in his room, and that's your end of the movie, and then you leave and that's it. And like that's your kind of epilogue afterwards. But that was the only kind of thing that I was like, okay, why are we still kind of messing around here? And
really
then also
could have ended on Susie doing like the reverse Superman.
Yeah.
One
I
of
know.
these.
Yeah.
That was just like, yeah.
I mean,
Is this necessary?
I have to manage the effects. Like practical and special effects were really well blended together, I thought. Like there were a few times where I could really tell the difference between one and the other in the movie, which kind of says a lot towards where cinema is today. With those sorts of effects, it's a great time to be watching if you are a horror fan and if you just like bloody, gory, crazy movies. Suspiria is definitely there.
That scene with was it Olga? Yeah, where that's the ultimate horror right there. The thing that kind of threw me out of the movie a couple of times is the sound effects. Like they had a sound effect where the door was shutting and opening, but it didn't match that kind of door. It was like a regular, like a house door sound, but it was, the kind of door you go in and out of in buildings. So it was like some of the sound kind of didn't match up with, what it was, and that just goes to show how much you just ignore sound. It just kind of goes to me until something's not right, and then it's blaring.
I'll tell you,
really
the one sound I loved in this movie was the rain, the constant rain in the building, on the building, like, because they're indoors. Just when people haven't watched it in there, and you can just hear the rain hitting the building at all times. Like it's kind of like a really cool sound effect that really gives the whole film ambiance. Yeah, so just so everyone's clear, before this, separately, Diane said she hated this movie, and then Harrison said he loved it, so fight it out, guys.
I have nothing to fight about. I thought the choreography of the dances were wonderful. So,
Yeah.
They were.
And they all, I mean, I'll tell you one thing I really loved. I love the costuming in general for this whole thing.
I bet you did.
And I don't even mean that. I mean,
sure.
I mean
It's
the doctor was also really cool with his little knitted tie. He always wore a little
German like border guard outfits. I think there's some I don't know, what do you call those hats? In Russian, it's like what, babushka? I don't know.
Oh yeah. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Anyways,
it's going to be a trivia question one of these days. So.
Sure.
Yeah.
The costume design was outstanding. The amount of time that they gave to so many different characters in this movie, really, and a lot of what being an epic is as a genre is really kind of unfurling a very large number of characters out into a story and into a believable world, and just kind of webbing them together extremely well. I'd say this movie like accomplishes that really in a big way. As far as like, I don't know. I think with any just sort of traditional sort of fairy tale witch movie, you're going to show women in a like women as evil trope, but really kind of what the director does with it isn't a all women are evil kind of trope. It's this specific set is they're really sadistic supernatural witches. They seem to, I mean, they love their jobs. Almost all of them love their job.
That's right. And as Americans, that's all that matters. That's number one. They do a good job.
Yeah, and that kind of reminds me of all of the like the restaurant scenes where they're all smoking and drinking, but you don't hear anything that's being spoken aloud.
That's amazing.
All you hear is just the mind reading, and it's actually just quite good. Like again, that
well, they're kind of like laughing, like in general. They're kind of like almost, but like their plot, like their inner monologue was very kind of like, it was kind of interesting. Like they just look like people at a thing, just sort of enjoying themselves. And then like their head things were, it was that was really cool. I had that written down as one of the cool things I really enjoyed as well.
Right. But it's really hard for me to call it like a misogynistic movie. I would definitely say it's not that.
Well, yeah, because you get Dakota Johnson's character sort of perspective, and you get like, and she's not a whole.
Oh yeah, guys, seriously. Yeah, it's it's maybe not misogynistic based on today 2022 standards, but just the story itself. I mean, here we go again, right?
But they are preying on women. That's the idea. Like the women are these high. It's power in general, but it's people of power preying on people without power, and that's so. I don't know how that would be necessarily misogynistic if it's amongst themselves.
I never said it was.
Oh, okay.
It was theirs. Yeah,
oh, sorry.
It was misogynistic. I was just said. What
Judge
I was saying
is on women from this movie. I mean, you may all but be saying at that point, but nonetheless, like
women is evil. I mean, they're evil.
You see the negative portrayals of the like just straight up evil or took the wrong side characters in the movie, and there is just so much like macabre and sadistic violence that there's a case to be made there.
And there's also, I mean, like evil's fun in movies. Evil, I
personally really enjoyed watching the witches do to that police officer what they did. Because all women really want to be able to do that to men. Bullshit. That's not true. But yet that was a big centerpiece of the movie, that this is what they're going to do to the one male character beside the professor. And it's like, okay, no, guys directing this and writing this is not something women actually fantasize about doing to men.
Yeah, I don't know if that was what they were saying. Yeah, I don't know if that's what. I mean, they were saying that these are all women, or this is what women in general.
Like once, if you're a witch, if you are like a magical creature whose power kind of demands the almost enslavement of this dance troupe is really the best way to put it. If anything, you can make the case that it's like more of a movie about like one generation versus another generation, like, and also
It's about power. It's about that anyone, like, that's kind of even that about what about
Okay,
what the Nazi
I'll give that to you guys. It's just about power. And by God, you better worry if we ever get it.
No, it's saying that anybody,
because that's what we're going to do to you if we give it any power.
It's about if anyone has power, if people with power abuse power, and that's like, and that's just the case that happens with it. And anyone who has absolute power, that's the phrase that's always said, and it's a truth, and that is what this thing's about.
It certainly is. It's about women having power. Okay, so can we rate this yet?
I mean, anything else that you guys? I thought the opening scene could have been a little bit better. I thought that was the one of those notes. I thought that, like, it kind of needed a little bit more oomph, or at least be understand. I felt like it was all dubbed afterward. It threw me off, the whole opening scene. So that was interesting. I have another note about.
I love.
Oh, go ahead.
How well woven, like, the history was into the plot. That, like, the German Autumn, the Baader Meinhof, like, terrorist group who were basically just kind of pro-Soviet and wanted to overthrow the German government because it had too many Nazis in it. I don't know. It reflected the times extremely well. And I really liked its inclusion in the movie. And I really liked I liked the music, except for Tom York's voice just being too kind of, I don't know, it stuck out too much at one point. Yeah. And
I know what part you're talking about.
Is it near the end? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. I love the effect. I love the cinematography. I love the acting. I think the acting was outstanding.
Yeah, the acting's great.
Yeah.
You don't think? I think Tilda Swinton's just extraordinary.
Like I said, it was the only reason to watch this film is to watch Twella. Tilda Swinton playing 3 roles.
Yeah, and she's great in this. And then also I liked also the lady from Dark. Diane and I used to watch Dark, the mole lady from Dark. Probably not the name what to call her, but she has a name. But I do not have it right with me. But she's in this and she's really good with that, with like very little lines.
Yeah, she didn't have much screen time on there.
But you could really she was so expressive, and like because like they constantly went to her like she was one of the people there.
I can't believe we spent 48 minutes on this movie.
I think it's like okay. So
absolutely merited.
There's so the opening, like
we
the dance.
We could be talking about Downton Abbey. Downton Abbey. Yeah.
So the just highlights this in Dakota Johnson's first dance scene where she's breaking that person's bones. That, my God, amazing scene. There's several of these different things that are really just interesting little nuggets and everything that's strung together. I don't think this is a perfect movie by any means. I do think it's stuffy and overlong. But at the same time, it's almost the point of the thing. So but that the other thing, a big thing I love about this, and I just want more movies to do that. It's very 70s. I love snap zooms. Anytime that's ever used when it's in horror is when it's probably most effective, but I just want that all the time in things. Just these quick zooms and the little, like all that sort of stuff, that highly stylized stuff was just amazing. And I miss that in movies, and I just wish that would just come back in as a tool in cinematographers' tool belt in modern movies without it having to be like, oh, that's a retro thing. And it's like, it is a retro thing, but it just needs to start being revived back. I love that so much. And then lastly, I wanted to just point out, so this is an Amazon bought this, the distribution to this movie, at least domestically. I don't know if it's internationally, but they so it's an Amazon original as it's put on there. Yeah, it is. One note I did like in the movie that I like anytime that a movie stylizes like the intros of the film studio stuff it's within the movie. That very rarely happens because big movie wants their logos. I mean, big companies want their logos to be exactly how they are. So, but that was cool that it was kind of stylized how their opening credits were. But anyways, point is, Amazon, if this is an Amazon original, why was there? So I had the subtitles. If I had the subtitles on, they would sometimes go over the other subtitles whenever, and it's like this should be the one that's like top tier of how all this stuff works. If it's an Amazon movie, was the other thing, the X, like they have X-ray, that's one of their things that they have on all these movies where like they show you trivia from like IMDb since they own IMDb, and they pop up and show you who's on the screen right then. It's like, and then it would adjust for the time, and so it's like if you're 30 minutes in, it's like, and that character's on the screen, that would be the actor that appears there, and then if there are things that pop up there.
I know why. I don't think it's a very satisfying answer, but I think it's just that Amazon Originals were really kind of still a new thing in 2018, and they were, Prime Video had been out for a while, but they hadn't really been competing on the scene like Netflix Originals had until more recently. And
I'm just saying that if they have that capability on films that aren't theirs, I don't know why this wouldn't be a better, bigger thing on movies that they own a part of their catalog. Like the fact that like whenever you pause it or whatever, what they call the X-ray, where they show the stuff that's happening, it's just static. It's static. For some reason, Chloe Grace Moretz is listed as the first listed on this movie on the X-ray, and I'm like, she's in the opening scene and then barely in this movie. And so it's just bizarre. Like this should have had much more care put into the sort of meta data of it than films that aren't owned by Amazon. That's just one of those weird things that I'm like, I kind of shame on Amazon for buying this movie and then not, treating it as well as
it the Amazon tools.
Yeah.
The subtitling.
Nobody would watch it anyway. They didn't put in all the extra effort because it wasn't going to be watched that much. It's possible. Unless it suddenly became a cult thing, then they would do it, right?
I can see this easily becoming a cult.
People have enjoyed this movie, Diane. It's a well loved. It's a.
I can tell you guys both enjoyed it quite a bit, and I don't know which scenes you're talking about. Yep. Yeah, those were good.
Yeah.
But it says 76% of Google users like this movie. So maybe Amazon should listen to you, Cade, and go back in and add those little, cloud bubbles that says, "Oh, this character is being played by."
Yeah. In some respects they are a little annoying, but in some respects you could dismiss them if you don't want them.
Do I really want to know that in this scene we have
Cade, you could be the Rian Johnson of the remake of the series. You could go up and say, "Hey, Amazon, I want to make number 2 in the series."
Well, so interesting enough, they developed this as it was going to be called Suspiria Part One. And that the idea was that they were very hopeful to get a sequel to this, and it did awful. And which is I think why
in every way, shape, and form.
Which is why spoiler at the end of the movie, like Tilda Swinton's character is like, oh, she's gone. Oh, maybe she's back. And it's just kind of left open, and it's just like, yeah, that's not gonna ever get resolved.
No,
I mean, how they would think that a movie with this level of graphic violence, I mean, they really, really crank it up by most audiences' standards.
Yes.
As far as just the
comfortable,
the amount of, twisted sort of pain that was inflicted in this movie. There were parts where, especially later on in the Olga scene, where it was very difficult for me to watch that all the way through.
Yes, it was.
And it's also, they got to know the length of the movie and the pacing of their own movie is not going to be mainstream. I think someone should have told them that, right? That they should have known that without being told.
Shooting it, thinking it would be a Suspiria Part 2, where you weren't even going to the second of the 3 mothers in the movie. That's pretty odd to me. I mean, the 6 acts, the 2 hour, 20 minutes or so runtime, I love the pacing of this movie for how it served the plot, and how it needed to be an epic. And I think that it hit on that count very much, and I think it hit very well. But there's no way that they're going to get a sequel out of it with any number of scenes.
Yeah,
that it has.
Okay, Diane, what are you going to? We're going to head into ratings now. And Diane, what are you going to give this movie?
I think I should give it 2. Gosh, is there any blood?
Yeah, there's a blood.
Any drinks with blood?
Well, there's a blood drop emoji. Is that what you want?
That'll work.
Okay.
Yeah, just give me 2 blood drops. If there was a way to have broken bones, I would do that. But that scene with Olga went on way too long. It was like 10 minutes long. It could have been 5. Yeah.
Yeah. So would you recommend people watch this?
Only if they're horror fans. Mm-hmm. Only if they're guy horror fans. Because this kind of fits into that whole guy horror fan thing. Yeah. And when I looked over on Reddit, the guys loved it. So
I think if people were guy horror fans, that they would probably like Mandy a little bit more than they would like this movie.
I never thought to compare Mandy to this movie. They weren't the same to me in any way, shape, or form. This one is a supernatural movie, where Mandy is just about a guy who's going to go on after vengeance.
Movies, as in
yeah. To me, they're not the same.
I mean,
the blood.
So Mandy is I feel like very like testosterone, heavy metal. We're gonna get a chainsaw and have dueling chainsaw fight and
heavy metal animation.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
And then this one is much more introspective and much more. Yeah, it's much more. This one's much more introspective. Has a female protagonist. It's much more slower paced. So I don't know. I would disagree that this is like geared towards a male audience in most respects. I think more toward a general audience. I would probably say.
Okay, then. Cade.
So like this movie, that's absolutely true.
But at the same time, like a general. Speaking of like. A mainstream audience will not like this movie. I don't even think it's a perfect movie. It's at times incredibly grotesque. This is and purposely so, I would say. Obviously, I don't think it's it's horrifying what happens on screen, but I obviously the point. It's a movie that's meant to disturb more than like I don't know, do any like jump scares or anything like a modern like a mainstream horror movie
it's
would
pretty
be.
Disturbing.
Yes, and it depends on what your level is, a comfort is of that style of horror. This is a slow burn, disturbing horror. I would say that by far of all the movies that we've watched, this aims to disturb more than any of the other movies that we've watched for the show. Mm-hmm. And what your comfort level of that is going to decide what you think about this movie. Okay.
It's worth watching if you're a fan of is it Tilda
Swinton? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She's worth watching this. She's worth watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We keep talking over poor Harrison over here.
Harrison, what are you going to give this movie?
I'd give this movie 4 Tilda Swinton.
I don't have a Tilda Swinton, but okay.
There isn't any Tilda, yeah.
Fine.
Blood.
I will 4 Tilda Swintons. Okay. Great.
I know you. Oh. I mean,
you could do the 4 dancers. You could do the 4 dancers. Yeah.
It's almost like I'm being captioned as.
It is almost that. You could, yeah. We could get you four little dancing emojis. You want that?
Mixture of flattery and.
Yeah, I had a few things going on here because I didn't exactly know what to give it. We had and so you took with those, 2 of mine have been taken, so that's fine. I have there's a witch emoji.
There's bones.
There's bones. I guess there's bones. There's little ballet shoes. That's one. We had the dance one. There's a Germany flag, but probably shouldn't use that. And then there's
No. And this was modern dance. This wasn't ballet.
Yes, I know. So I was trying to find any sort of dance things, related things. I keep typing.
Have like a dead face for the people.
I think you should go with the witches.
Okay. There's also I was going to
the
do.
movie is truly about.
I was going to do a fountain of blood, and so there's a fountain, and I was going to do a blood emoji.
Oh, there you go.
Because the movie ends with a lot of blood.
If
we haven't warned you about that, that is the climax of this movie. Spoiler alert, I guess. Okay. Well, overall, we had differing opinions here.
I'm not a horror fan. Never have been, never will be, I think.
Yeah. Well,
to me, The Shining is the only horror movie that is worth watching. But
I love The Shining.
I don't even think of it as a horror movie. So
it's one of my top 5. I love The Shining. I would, and yeah, sorry.
When you hold a horror movie up against The Shining, with The Shining being a 5,
unfair to ever compare anything to The Shining.
Maybe so, but that's how I.
Well, my favorite movie is Silence of the Lambs. People say that's a horror movie, and I disagree wholeheartedly.
I don't think it's psychological thriller.
Yeah. So.
Okay, have we beat this one to bloody pulp?
Yeah, no, I don't. Did we end in a good place? I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, it's an interesting movie, and I get this movie being polarizing. I think that's what it's going for. I think that you're going to have that. And I love a movie that swings for the fences, even if it kind of misses or whiffs it. I don't think this one does, but I can see how people would.
It's one of the most ambitious movies in recent memory.
Yes, it's very, very ambitious, and therefore I feel like even if you don't like it, and there's been movies I've been like very ambitious, I just don't land on the side of loving it, but I think it deserves respect for, going for it. This movie goes for it, and I don't think anyone could disagree with that. Do you think it goes for it, Diane?
Let's see. We have now gone to 1 hour talking about this movie.
Do you think the movie goes for it, Diane, though? I'll move on if you think.
I think it does. I think you got all the naked girls you could possibly want at the end of the movie. So, yeah, I think it definitely goes for it.
It goes for it. Great.
All the naked girls?
All the naked girls you could possibly want.
I guess you have. Maybe.
It's all about the horror, right? I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Like I said, I have never, ever said that I'm a fan of horror. Never.
Great. We have exhausted this conversation now, Diane. Are you happy with that? Great. We are going to.
We talked longer about this movie than we did like Bad Education. So. Yeah.
Cool. And I think we talked a lot about SNL up top, if I'm going to be honest. I cut into this a little bit. Yeah. Okay, we're going to head into intermission time, where we grab popcorn. Be sure to go grab you some things from the concession stand. That's our bit here that we do. And then be back, and we'll be discussing, Harrison will be giving us the plot of Hotel Artemis after this brief.
Faces.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's intermission time. All these delicious treats are waiting for you at the refreshment stand. Delicious fresh popcorn, ice-cold cola, and candy you know and love. They're all ready for you now, so you won't have to miss any of the feature. Come and get them.
And now, on with the show.
Okay. we're going to sit here and we're going to now, Harrison, we have you here. You will be talking about the plot to the movie Hotel Artemis. Let's see here.
Is Harrison's
There he is. He's about to talk about it. Other side, Harrison.
buzzing?
There you go. Whenever
He's
you're ready.
buzzing.
Hotel Artemis. A nurse heals criminals who are part of her members-only club, set in eternally rioting Los Angeles, as water is no longer available, except if you buy it. So, like, Evian destroyed Los Angeles. Jeff Goldblum and Charlie Day kind of mail in their performances as Sterling K. Brown gets more watchable as the film goes on. Jodie Foster keeps the film going much like her character, patching up some criminally bad parts.
Great. Is that your full plot breakdown? Great. Perfect. I forgot to change our names during that. I apologize. Okay, Diane, what did you think about this movie?
You know, the parts of the movie that I appreciated was that throwback to the film noir, era of filmmaking, because it kind of, once they get in the hotel, and didn't you kind of get that? You got you have every character you would find in any film noir creation. So, yeah, they're all there. I think you're right, Harrison. There were some, dialing in some of the parts of it. I wonder.
That should be a fun role for everybody. I mean, like, this should be campy almost. I feel like, but yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised that Jeff Goldblum wasn't more campy in it. I think he was for as much as he could be, considering he was laying on a gurney most of the time.
He's barely in it.
But he's barely in it too, and I think I wonder what people read with the script, because they took these roles. So I wonder what the role was on paper before it got shot.
Diane, I think you're spot on. Like, Jeff Goldblum, like, I would say the first half where he was introduced, I was like, okay, I'm expecting something pretty good now. And then, like, once he's on the gurney, just the plot goes into such a absurd and pointless direction, really. Like, the interaction between Jeff Goldblum's character and Jodie Foster's character, like, it was so just.
Yeah, why did that conversation happen there and not any other point? They sort of say that it's because he's under the influence of drugs. They did, but that it seems like that would have happened at any point within the last. Seems like he would have. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the plot was really hard for me to get past. Although
it's almost like that was thrown in there at the last minute,
I must say, I do have
necessary.
One comparison now that I'm realizing. Like, they both take place in a location, a location with stuff happening on the outside of it, and these both have like this sort of world that's existing outside of the building that most of the movie takes place in. So
that's true. That's the through.
That's the through line, I think. In one case, it's 1977 Berlin, and in this case, it's 2030. What is it? 20 what?
2036.
I could be wrong.
Oh, okay. It's something.
No,
it's
2028.
2020. Boy, that's really close.
Well, I mean, we're not. How far away do you think we are from privatization of water?
Well, we're not that far from that, but we are a little bit further away from 3D printing livers.
Oh no! I bet you we're closer than you know.
Okay. Were we close enough that it has that all the machinery's wore down and looks like it's been used for like a decade?
That was the thing that kind of got me, was here the elevator is. It's on its last legs.
Yeah.
The lights fixtures are about to go out, and yet they have this state of the art medical cutting edge. I mean, it's like cutting edge medical equipment.
Yeah.
In there.
Yeah,
so
it's because the kingpin of Los Angeles owns the place.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. Just make it fix people.
Yeah.
Make it look cool.
Yeah.
So Jodie Foster, I just want to confess, I love Jodie Foster. I've always loved Jodie. Yeah, Time's Lost is my favorite movie. I love Jodie Foster so much, and she's great in this. She's great in everything. I haven't ever seen a movie that. Yeah, and
I liked her kind of New Yorkie accent, and the clipped way she talked, and how she brought that to the walk, and how the character moved. It was all very clipped. I just love that part. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
I interrupted you.
No, I agree. That just, I mean, you can't. I mean, Jodie Foster, her voice is so iconic, and she's doing like a thing, and she's doing character, and it's like I think she gets the type of movie that she's in, and then there were. This should have. She's kind of like more of the straight person. She has like a character thing. I don't know, and I think everyone else should have been like dialed up the sort of camp factor. To me, the biggest problem is its climax and then on like that. I think that from the moment that like she kills Jeff Gold. Oh, sorry, spoiler. Whatever that. From that point, it just falls apart. Boy, does that movie just screech to a halt. That it had all been built up to that point, and so you would want that to be like. If you're going to do like here's a shift or whatever and everything, it like make it bigger. I don't even know. I don't think that you're right. I don't think that you build up Jeff Goldblum so much in this movie to then just undercut it completely.
Yeah,
and
deliver one of the most underwhelming. It's so hard to call it a plot twist because it was just like,
yes,
I don't know. It's something that when elementary schoolers are telling a story and they're just making it up, they just all of a sudden just like pull out something that's just so outlandish and so stupid that you're like, all right, yeah, okay, this is now I remember you're a 10-year-old telling me a story again. Okay.
Yeah.
Except this was a movie.
Well, yeah. So what you wanted more is, so this is very John Wick inspired, I think it's fair to say. That this is very much criminal underworld with some sort of bureaucracy inspired. So she runs a hotel, it's called Hotel Artemis, but it's in like an old hotel, but it is a hospital for criminals. Yeah, and so they have to have
John Wick going in there.
Yes, and so people have memberships to this, and it's something that's implanted into their arm, and they scan and they come in. They can't have weapons in there. It's very, very John Wick Continental type thing. But what I think like. What made John Wick and that sort of stuff work so well is the sort of I like the bureaucracy of the John Wick universe. I find that so fascinating.
They have to go to the hotel and register.
Yes, yeah. And that they all kind of respect the rules. Like if the criminals don't respect the rules, then that totally makes the whole thing worthless. Like and this one they kind of end up throwing that all aside, and I'm like, no, that's what's cool about this. You don't even understand. That's what's cool about what you're doing here is that they have to just be themselves without their technology and without their and they have to follow the rules because of dire consequences that this could have, and the sort of political intrigue of inner workings of this thing. Like I find that fascinating, and that was. They end up just like tossing that out, and I'm like, no, that was. And then like she was so rigid on the rules, and then she breaks them, and it's like if she, and I understand there was a reason for it, but it was like it was unearned at that point in the movie. That was I think the biggest thing that I was like, oh no, that was what was interesting.
Kind of a throwaway portion of it, They didn't really. Did they need that? I don't know. I guess they do if they're going to bring in this plot twist with Jeff Goldblum that should have happened 20 years ago, that kind of thing. I think the girl who played Niece, the Sophia, whatever.
Boutella, yeah.
Boutella, I think she did a good job with the campiness of her character. I thought she made that character really campy.
I'll tell you, she has been great in everything I've seen, and I did not see the Tom Cruise Mummy movie. She was the mummy in that, but so I don't know. But
I didn't see it either.
But I'll tell you, she was great in Atomic Blonde. I'll keep singing the praises of Atomic Blonde, and she's great in that. And she's great in this. And there was something else I've seen her in too. But
yeah, and I thought she played it. Her and Jodie Foster were the two that played at the camp the most. And I think Dave, he played Everest. Batista, yeah. I thought he was good in it.
Yeah.
He's
also great in everything I've ever seen him in.
Yeah. I mean, he committed to what he was doing, and there he was doing it, you know? So I thought he was good. I was, Charlie Day. I mean, anytime he's on screen, you can't take your eyes off of him just because you never know what to expect from him. But to me, he filled his role the way you would expect him to, you know?
It's interesting. I don't know if you want to speak about the Charlie Day thing.
Dialogue, like,
his style, I know,
Yeah.
some of the lines he has.
Yeah.
So he's doing the Charlie Day voice, like he's doing like I don't know how like he's playing it up, but not to like. I kind of wanted him to be like it would be even higher, even more. Like if he was going to like he seems to like I'm playing a character, and it's just like if you're gonna do that, go 20 if you're gonna do it that way, and he can. We've seen him if you've seen Sunny, Always Sunny, he can do that. But it was interesting because it was kind of a half measure. I felt like, and it's like no, you go full Charlie Day if you're gonna do that.
I kept expecting him to, but then again, I thought he died like 2 or 3 times in that movie. So I don't know, but
yeah, big flaw of the thing was that too.
Yeah, that Zachary
Quinto.
How'd you say it?
Quinto.
Okay, I thought, why did he take this role? What did he see on paper? Because I'm pretty sure what he saw on paper was not what ended up in this movie, right?
It's a small role, and for a character, for a person that you're like, oh, I know who that is. I mean, if you're a big Heroes fan, you know him, and if you're a Star Trek fan, you know. And then end of list, I think Zachary Quinto's been in.
I thought he had gotten to the point where he didn't have to die in movies anymore. Evidently not.
So do you think so? Okay, so they got all these famous actors. I think we've named pretty much everybody that was big in this. Are they getting them because someone else, like Jodie Foster's returning to acting for this movie? It's got to be a big deal. Or do you think or is it because like some of them they're not in it that much, so it's like a real kind of quick thing like that? That was when I first heard about this movie, I assumed everyone was barely going to be in this because of how big that cast is and how kind of lower thing. And it ends up slightly being true, but some of them are in it more than you would expect. And then, but other ones like a Zachary Quinto, I mean, Zachary Quinto only had to be in like a few scenes. So I can see why he signs up for it. You think it's going to be, it's a John Wick style movie, leaded by Jodie Foster, who barely acts. She's semi-retired. She's coming back for this. You would, I mean, I would do that movie, wouldn't you? I mean, and they're paying you million or whatever they're paying you. So I can kind of understand from a certain perspective why. And they all have character things. So Zachary Quinto's character is he's got daddy issues. He's doing this he's kind of like a privileged son of this crime lord. I mean, like it's interesting. It's an interesting character, but I don't know. Doesn't end up all coming together. I don't think in the end all that spectacularly. I like the first. I like two like we're saying Jeff Goldblum on the operating table. That I think everything up to that I thought was pretty good.
Yeah, I agree because and I kept thinking, well, maybe I have too high of expectations of Jeff Goldblum and the character, you know.
Well, they set it up that way.
Yeah, they did, and but up until that point, I mean, it was great when he came in. I mean, there he was on screen, and he was doing exactly what you expect. And then the minute he hits the gurney, it's like the whole movie just stops.
Yeah.
Dies from that point on.
I also thought the movie opened really kind of weak. The heist.
Oh.
I don't know, there wasn't much chemistry between the characters during and after the heist.
So what was the point of making them fail? Like, so they fail at this heist, and it was just
to get them into the hotel, really.
Okay. I guess, yeah. And then, like, they make a point about they ask the people about their bosses, And if they're a millionaire, I mean, like they're trying to do some sort of political commentary in this movie that, I mean, it's there.
I don't know. Once he turned to his brother and said, or to the other character that's part of this heist, he was like, everybody wants to get their valuables while the riot's going on. They want their valuables in the bank, and who do they send to do that? It's going to be the gardeners and the maids and the body men, that kind of thing. They're going to send to do it, and that's who we really should be robbing, which was true in that case.
Yeah.
I don't think that would have played well, though, if there wasn't a riot going on.
It's interesting. So the backdrop is odd because it's just there. It's just, and then like I just in a plot way that you're thinking, well, this water's going to have something to do with this thing. There's going to be something.
Exactly.
Even whenever like the rioters were breaking through, that didn't lead to anything.
No.
Yeah.
It like some serious, I don't know, crew time was given to those shots, like the overhead shots of the rioters breaking through the police line, and it led to nothing.
And then like the helicopters exploding, and they're like, "Is this place gonna hold up?" And like, yeah, it was
welding the doors shut to this place.
Yeah,
and yet we're still making it in on the other entrance.
And no one else was coming. So like they had set up. He gets a call. Jodie Foster gets this call that the Wolf King, with Jeff Goldblum's character, is going to come in here and like hold the thing. He's 50 minutes out and can't do that. Someone else comes up, and no one, like the police officer comes up, but didn't you think this was going to be a thing where like tons of people are trying to get in there to like get like medical treatment, and like she's going to be having to refuse people or something?
That way, yeah.
It had all been set up, but like he didn't have anyone stopping from being in his room, did they? I mean, like no one came through that. I mean, like I guess it was supposed
to have a total of one security guard for your hotel, for your fake hotel that's actually a hospital for criminals.
Okay, and you're bringing up a good point here.
The Godfather series.
Mm-hmm.
So you bring up a good.
Yeah, just post one guard outside a single hospital room, let alone 5.
So there's references to the fact that this is kind of past its prime, right? Isn't that the idea? Yeah. But why is that the case is unclear. If the benefactor is still very wealthy and everything.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that does speak to. I don't know, robber barons in general, they leave a lot of places worse off than they found them and make off with the wealth. But it was hard to imply that very well in this movie, and it's really not something it's not a conclusion that you can draw. It's like Jeff Goldblum is the head of a crime syndicate. Crime syndicate's going to have like nice cars and just an entourage, sort of by default. They're running all of Los Angeles. So, I mean, making Hotel Artemis nicer, or I don't know. The plot is so asinine that it's almost not even worth kind of dissecting. Really,
I thought they had a big missed opportunity when Charlie Day's character, when his helicopter did not crash into the Hotel Artemis sign. That was a huge missed opportunity, in my opinion. They could have made that a great fiery crash and saved the whole movie.
Yeah, the interactions with kind of mobile technology, both via the assassin, spy, and Charlie Day, were fascinating to me. I thought that was believable sci-fi. That like, I don't know, near future stuff I can see being. What the technology may actually look like, as opposed to 1980s like retro future. Like you're still getting, I don't know, dials on cathode ray televisions, even though like you get FaceTime on them.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Harrison is a big fan of 3D printing. What did you think about the 3D printing in this movie?
I thought it wasn't too bad. I mean, now that I do remember reading a study about there was a 3D printed heart or 3D printed some sort of organ very recently that was made, and I think successfully a little bit. Um,
And
so
it had
I don't know.
3 things in it, right? It was
Yeah,
well, what was it? There was 3 kind of artificial goos that helped print it. That stuff.
sure. Yeah, I mean, it felt realistic enough to me. Aside from the nanites, like the nanites are a pretty huge MacGuffin, but like I'll give it to them because the rest of it seemed incredibly realistic as far as technology goes.
Mhm.
3D printing the gun seemed almost too late 2010s, early 2020s.
Mhm.
Because yes, you can 3D print guns, but I would expect 3D printed gun tech in 10 years to be like pretty good quality or similar to
Well,
printing a
yeah,
liver.
and it should. Yeah, it seemed like they should have bridged it a little bit from. She doesn't
Yeah,
allow any weapons in there, but yet she allows her 3D printer to be
Just
sabotaged to create a gun.
well, yeah. So somehow they were able to get
Okay.
print a gun from that. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So somehow, yeah. Which I
I
guess is a
didn't-
bone gun.
I didn't
I guess it's made out of the
expect
bone.
Exactly. I didn't
Artificial bone?
expect it to be, like a 2028, 3D printed gun because that's not what that 3D printer was for.
Yeah. You
But
think it'd be
I also
hard
didn't
set?
think it would
Yeah.
be a 2010 printed gun either, So
It
yeah, I
makes
had
me
a hard
want
time with the
to.
printed gun.
I don't know. I'm
And
excited
then
for
where did Charlie Day get his 3D printed gun?
He got it from a similar machine, is what it's hinted at. I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's inaccurate. They make a point about that too. Which I
Yeah,
mean, it's like
so-
why didn't they just? I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, the point of these things is to make it where like they're like trying to get around the rules and like that's the fun of that of like the John Wick stuff of like is that yeah, it's
Yeah.
like in the consequences and yeah.
Yeah.
it's like the next step on the way to replicators, and as soon as replicators become available that can make me a steak that looks like it was on the Matrix,
Mhm.
I'm very happy about the future.
Well, that was in my notes is that they had opportunities for some really cool tech, within the movie itself, and then they had opportunities that they missed with the tech as well. So that was part of the. I love the production design with the rooms in the hotel all being Art Deco.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's kind of like, okay, so here's the 1930s, 1920s and 1930s with this 2020s technology kind of meshed together. I like that
Yes.
combination.
Replete with the secret passages and everything.
Oh, I know. That was great.
Building.
Which yeah, I could always use more secret passages in movies. I love me a good secret passages sequence.
Yeah.
California Dreamin', anytime that's played is fun.
Oh, yeah. It's always good. The mamas and the papas, baby.
Yeah.
I had that in my notes as well.
Back in the movie.
Yeah. I like the line, "It's America, honey. 85% of what I treat are bullet holes."
That's right. That's a good one.
This is America.
Is that another political statement?
Yeah, they really these come out of left field in this movie.
Yeah.
And they force and you're like, huh. Yeah, because they make a lot of yeah, okay. So I just still can't believe that the water is the crux of what's happening outside, and like and Jodie Foster like has little lines and little things about like they just want water or whatever, and it's like only like here and there is that ever brought up, and then it never pays off, and like they even go to a point of being like, this is the company's name. Like I don't remember what it was, but there was a company that owned all this private water, and it does not tie in. They show its logo. To my knowledge, it doesn't tie in anything. Like I would assume, like maybe like the Wolf King was going to somehow tie into that, but there was nothing. There was that went nowhere. It was just a what was happening in the background.
The only place where I think the riots come in is with the female police officer getting hurt.
Which I assumed that character was going to be bigger, but and that's Jenny Slate, by the way, great actress.
Yeah,
we didn't mention her.
I honestly think like the dystopic corporations kind of control the entire world, sort of Blade Runner-y. What's the other one?
Rollerball.
Demolition Man.
Done extremely well, and like has been done extremely well in so many sci-fi movies that when you see the way it's done in this one, you're just like,
yeah. Which is sad. I was kind of, I know that it didn't start out, you're right, and knowing it, I think it didn't get like spectacular reviews. It got mostly it got like, I guess it was mixed, but it was on the positive end, I guess you would say. And ultimately I'm like, yeah, I was kind of like, oh, am I really enjoying this movie? Because at a certain point it had like, I agree, the robbery scene was kind of as its opening, but when it got into it, and Jodie Foster, and anytime she's on screen is great, and I thought Dave Bautista, and you're bringing in all these characters and you're setting the stage. I'm like, oh, this is going to be interesting. That Jeff Goldblum is going to be the Wolf King, and they keep setting him up. I'm like, okay, never mind. This is is going to be great. I'm really excited for this, and for it to not. It was very disappointing, and it wasn't like it didn't spectacularly fail. It just was kind of mediocre, and it was kind of like, oh, that's where you went with it. Okay, you were really setting up something interesting.
From a writer director too. Like I thought if you're gonna go like super auteur, and you're going to have such a star-studded cast like this one, I don't know, like the story needed to be way better. That's probably my biggest disappointment in this movie.
And the whole I think the biggest eye-rolling thing in the movie was when they're trying to leave, and Dave Bautista's like, you guys continue, I'm going to stay back. And then literally 20 seconds later, Sophia Boutella says, you guys keep going, I'm going to stay back. So two of them decided to do that as a heroic thing.
Yeah, and we never saw what happened to either one of them, did we?
No, did we? We didn't. Did we? No, you're right. I don't recall if it happened.
She did the old don't cross this line, routine twice, but then we didn't see what happened to her. So
right,
yeah.
Right.
Although she does have a great hallway fight scene.
Oh, that was
reminiscent of Atomic Blonde stairway scene.
She's got scalpels.
That was a really good fight scene for her. And
I was
David
going to like walk down the stairs without cutting her ankles.
Yeah, exactly.
And Dave Bautista should have had better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm getting super nitpicky on a movie that was like, hey, we're an action movie, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's just supposed to be fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Drew Pearce, this is his directorial debut.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he's a guy who worked on the Iron Man 3.
He wrote it with Shane Black.
With Shane Black. And then he also co-wrote on the Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. I mean, he's done he did Fast and Furious, Hobbs versus Shaw, but this was his first directorial debut. And I kind of wonder what the screenplay looked like at this before shooting. I still think there's going to have to be something that's missing.
So who was there a production company that's behind this? Who produced it? Who distributed it? Because that was I missed that. Because if it was like an indie thing, then he should have had whatever within a budget to do. But if it was like some big thing,
it was Open Roads Films and Lionsgate.
Lionsgate might have done some things to it.
The production companies were The Ink Factory, 123 Wall, Mark Platt.
Yeah, I wonder. I agree. It should. Yeah, I don't know.
It wasn't like the last movie. It wasn't ever taken to any, film festivals and that kind of thing.
Yeah, It is. It's odd. Maybe there was something more interesting. I don't know. I don't know if it would be interesting to see if the script was what it was, because like I don't know what you would make that last act be. Dave Bautista fights goons and Sophia Boutella fights goons and and Jodie Foster's in an elevator with Sterling K. Brown and
I'm so afraid to go outside.
Great impression, Harrison.
I know you love the Jodie Foster voice.
Yeah. I forgot to mention that Jodie Foster's scared to go outside, which in any other actor's hands would not have worked, but she makes it work. She does a pretty good. But that also should have been shot in an interesting way, where like. So she's going outside to Jenny Slate, and like she's terrified, and like each step is like she's like a yard from outside of the door, so just a few feet, and she's like, oh no, and like cut to an extreme wide. It's almost like supposed to maybe be comic, I don't know, but like where it should have been like real big like close ups and like I don't know what you call, where it's like that kind of forced perspective where it's like, you know, like she's walking.
Face and a couple of scenes where like you can see definitely like the eye wrinkles that really tell how she feels as her character in the movie. She conveys it extremely well, but yeah, no, not in the fear of going outside. What is that called? Agoraphobia?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a family member with something similar. Anyway, most of the reviews remark on her performance, how it carries the film and how it's one of her best performances in a long time and all that. And I think a lot of it is because she plays a stripped down, person in a lot of pain, that's trying to help other people. And if just based on her performance alone, she is pretty spectacular in this.
It's her best performance in years, in the sense that she hasn't been in very many other movies.
Exactly.
So, like, I'm trying to think, like, what was the last between this and Panic Room? What has there been? Not very many. Elysium.
She was in that one with that was Elysium, wasn't it? That's
So, but yeah, that's it, right? Between Panic Room and it's a Panic Room, Elysium, and I feel like there's one other one that I'm forgetting. But yeah, those are the only ones that I can think of that from a modern time that Jodie Foster's been
Flight Plan. So you're looking in 2000s, right?
Yeah, 2000s through now.
Well, Flight Plan. Let's see, Inside Man, Elysium, The Brave One. Just scanning through here, The Beaver.
That's where, that was Mel Gibson's. She's done a lot of directing. She's kind of moved to be a director, and she's actually a fabulous director. If you ever see her, she did a lot of Netflix stuff. She did a Black Mirror episode. She did Orange is the New Black. She did, I think, a House of Cards. She did a lot of Netflix things, but her Black Mirror one was really, really great. Oh yeah, she did The Manchurian recently. I forgot to watch that. People said she was really good in that too.
Yeah, I see that one on here, but yeah, I had heard that she's doing more directing.
Yeah. Yeah, she's really good. Money Monster was one that she directed.
Yeah.
That was a really good. It was interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. But anyway.
Oh, sorry, we did not rate this yet. Everyone, I guess Harrison, what are you going to rate this?
I rate this 1 bullet hole.
Okay. Okay, 1 bullet hole. I don't know if I have that.
That particular.
I don't know if I have that particular thing. Oh well.
I don't know that
One
I've
bullet
ever
hole.
seen one bullet. I haven't ever seen it.
We do have. There is like a little plastic gun emoji. If you want that. Great. A 3D printed gun. 1 3D printed gun.
That looks like a water pistol.
It is. Well, fun fact, it used to be a real gun emoji, and they replaced it with that
really?
because of our problems here in America. It used to be a real pistol, and that was...
Thanks for paying lip service to our problems, Apple. We really appreciate it.
And since then, gun violence has gone down, right? It's had a huge effect. We no longer have that problem thanks to the emoji change.
We don't.
Ammunition is straight up turned into water. No idea how it happened.
Exactly. Diane, what are you going to give this?
Well, I enjoyed this movie much more than I did the other one. I didn't fall asleep in this one, where in the other one I did, in one of the acts. I'm still going to give it 2 of the... let me pour some bourbon in here. Yeah.
Apparently, the rain
2
sounds
bourbons.
that you like Cade were just too soothing to Diane for Suspiria.
Yeah, you're right. It was too comforting that it rocked her to sleep. Suspiria.
That movie rocked.
Yeah.
You got to admit, the first 2 acts of that movie is pretty long.
Yeah, it doesn't
And
really
boring.
do too much for extended amounts of time.
At least I stayed awake throughout all of Hotel Artemis.
Yeah.
Mainly because I was expecting Jeff Goldblum from the Thor movies. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to see.
Well, yeah, like him to come in like, hey, I'm I'm the Wolf King,
I was expecting the Jeff Goldblum from the Tim and Eric commercial.
Yeah.
Lightning.
That you bring in Jeff Goldblum in this movie where they have all these characters and he's like the king of underground LA. He should be amazing in that. And they give him the costume and he should be, but given.
Ring.
Yeah. You handicap him by making him dying. And then he's out of it. He has one scene where he's kind of lucid. And it's just why'd you build up? We've already talked about this. We talked about this movie to death. Okay, that's all. I gave it.
Jeff Goldblum was I get straddled by a sexy assassin. My character gets killed. You know what? Count me in.
Yeah, I had to be there for 2 days. Let's do it. That's all I get. 2 days of work. Well, whatever.
Yeah, and Sophie's going to straddle me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great. I give it a nurse, or I don't know, stethoscope.
What do you
hospital.
got here? You got it looks like a hospital and
a nurse and a little stethoscope. I
Oh,
was going to pick
okay.
one of them, but I just decided to do all of them. I much like this movie, I phoned it in.
There you go.
Halfway through.
Halfway through, you phoned it in.
Yeah.
I love it.
I was going to give it think of it real halfway through. I was like, oh, this is, I'll give it something nice. And then afterwards, I'm like, I need to rate this. I don't know. What's hospital stuff? There you go. There's hospital stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
I like the shelves Harrison has behind him. I would like to have a couple of those shelves, Harrison. How much do you charge to install?
Sorry, I got emoji.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, here. I'm going to have another
I
drink from mine.
installed those. I don't remember where I got them from. I'll find out.
I would give you a definite A for your room rater. You know what room rater is? Yeah, okay. Yay.
Perfect. I think we've got to decide what our next week movies are.
I don't even want to call a number because I'm afraid. So afraid.
You guys chose this. My hands are clean. I just made the list that these were on. The first list.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Come on,
I
Diane,
just put the bullets in the chamber. You guys are the one that pulled the trigger.
There it is.
Yeah. Great. So preview time. We're heading to that.
And now, preview time. When it comes to entertainment, you can't beat a good film. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
Let's take a look at what's coming your way.
I love it when you do that.
When it comes to entertainment, you just can't beat a good film.
It reminds me of those shorts that you did that's on your YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
What are they called? The names? I can't look it up right now.
The
names
noir
of
ones?
Yes.
Yeah.
Those are great.
It's Calico
People get a
Catacombs. Yeah.
Is that what it's called? Calico Catacombs?
Yeah. There'll be a new one released in 4.5 years. So everyone mark your calendars for that.
Yeah,
They release every 5 years. You get the new Calico Catacombs.
Well, I highly recommend people go watch them. They're not long, but they are very good. So I'm sorry, Cade. Do we have to pick these new movies?
We got to pick new movies, Diane. So I mean, ultimately, I had a fun time this time, and I have a fun time even when we watch bad movies. At the end of the day, I hate to say it, but I guess I enjoyed watching The Bling Ring because I got to share that experience with everybody.
That's right.
That's right. And that's what's here. I mean,
here's the thing, Diane. Cade already picked out 2 movies, and so like numbers 1 through 20. Every single one of them is Suspiria 1977.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm so worried that that's going to be the case. It's just like, oh, please, no more.
Well,
no
so
more.
I'm looking at it, and it looks like there's not it's not that much. Like a third are horrors, so you can miss it.
God.
You can miss it.
I feel like this is Russian roulette.
Diane.
Well, you know what not to choose from last week, because I did say that number 5 was a horror. So don't choose number 5. I'll give you that hint.
Please, Harrison, don't choose number 5.
Well, his list
I'm
is
going
different.
to choose number 14.
Number 14. Okay, good. You should be happy, Diane. This was a movie that we were been wanting to watch. It's Taika Waititi's other movie titled Boy.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think this is
so glad.
I think this is supposed to be a little bit more dramatic than the other one is, but I think it still will have comedy on it. It's a Taika Waititi movie.
Good.
So-
I'm so glad it's not a horror movie.
Yeah. So Boy, I don't know what that's on. Okay, Harrison, are you going to undo the goodwill that just happened right now?
I'm gonna pick number 5 times 3. Number 15.
Oh, thank God.
Okay. Also, not a horror movie, so we're good. We've avoided horror movies, and this is one that we also previewed a few weeks back, titled Ruby Sparks. It is the movie that Paul Dano and oh goodness, what's his wife's name? Zoe Kazan made together.
And what's the name of it?
Ruby Sparks.
That's what I thought you said. Okay.
And I believe I'm right about that.
Boy
That's
and Sparks.
Boy and Ruby Sparks. So yes, it's Paul Dano and Zoe Kazan. They
Okay, I'm not showing any place where Boy is available.
Well,
Darn.
is streaming. Let's see. Yeah, we'll figure it out. It looks like it says it's on free on Vudu. That's the way I'm seeing it. Oh, it looks like it's on Showtime. You have Showtime now.
Oh, really? Well, maybe it's just what I'm looking at. Okay. The other one is on.
Yes, Boy is on Showtime.
Yeah, I see that. Now, it just popped up. Okay. And Ruby Sparks is on Amazon. I see that one.
Ruby Sparks, which I think is supposed to be kind of a romantic, maybe comedy. I don't know much about it, but yeah.
Oh, I need a Sleepless in Seattle type movie.
So yeah, the very, very different stylings here from this week, and that's what's great about this. Sometimes you have, horror and Suspiria witches and sacrifices and blood fountains.
Make Diane happy with your selections.
Yes, sometimes. I just knew.
I love Nick Cage. Don't get me wrong. I love Nick Cage.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, once the guy threw up in his blood in his mouth, that movie was over for me. Okay, so I see on
the
Ruby
movie
Sparks has Antonio Banderas, Annette Bening.
Oh my God, it's got Annette Bening.
Yes.
Oh, I love Annette Bening.
I know it's got Elliot Gould in it.
Steve Coogan.
I know it's got some good people in this, so let's hope that it's a little more successful than Hotel Artemis.
Great, some really great movies there. I agree that about what you were saying about Mandy from last week. I can't get Cheddar Goblin out of my head. He lives rent free in my head.
If we ever change our trivia team name, it's got to be Cheddar Goblin.
Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, we got some views because I used Cheddar Goblin on our hashtags and our tags, and so I think big fans of the thing. We've tapped into a niche market there. Anything that you think of that could get us some watches to tag these movies? Anything from these movies that would bring in some viewers?
Tag Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum. Okay. That's good. Anything?
Any of the actresses or actors that are in it, obviously.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Sure.
I don't know.
Witches.
Witches.
We could get. Yeah.
Might as well. Covens.
Covens.
You might as well go down that whole path.
Yeah.
You can.
If we can get some fans, some witches who are in some covens part of our audience, I'd be happy with that. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes total sense to me.
I want them on our side. Great. Well, that's Double Feature Movie Club, episode 13. It was as weird as I think our movies were.
They were completely. Yeah.
So
everything was derailed this week.
Yes.
Harrison's got his gun going. And I got my bourbon. I'm happy. Yeah.
Thanks to everyone who listens and watches for this. I guess people who you're supposed to, for the podcast portion, you're supposed to say, rate us, I guess is what you're supposed to say. Rate us 5 stars. You're supposed to say,
rate us, definitely. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Write us
Wherever
a review.
you listen to your podcast, be sure to give us a rating.
Yeah. Follow, subscribe.
Interact.
You could send us an email. Disagree strongly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, don't send me any emails. I don't read my emails. I don't have time for that.
We do have an email, doublefeaturemovieclub@gmail.com. If you guys want to send us an email, I don't check it regularly.
I am so signing you up for some spam.
Great.
Yeah.
Perfect. See ya. Everyone, bye.
See you next week.
See you next week. Ruby Sparks and what was the other one?
Boy.
And Boy. Bye.